Chefs, today we're gonna be diving into quenelles versus rochers. What's what, why you use them, how to do them, certain applications, different methods. Before we get going, you can use any sort of spoon that you want. Typically you want something that's got a pointed end, something like this. This one, not necessarily the deepest bowl, but as long as your method is right, you're gonna get a very consistent shape out of it. So a couple different methods I like to do with rochers is pushing it away from you and then pulling back, scooping up and twisting your wrist last minute. The reason for pushing away is you wanna kind of compact it, get rid of all those air bubbles, get rid of any sort of, cracks and, bubbles that you're gonna have in your finished product. Lastly, twist your wrist right up. Clean your edge, right on the plate, except for that little tail, you don't want that guy. And that's it, that's basically a rocher. The biggest thing that I think a lot of people don't explain is kind of how to leave off on it, but you push away, pull back towards you, and you'll get that nice rotation in your spoon. And then that last moment, go ahead and scoop up, so you kind of cut off that tail end, and then go quickly. It's gotta be one quick method. So let's go ahead and try. Not too bad. So if you're doing these for butter services or whatever, you need to be like very, very consistent. Obviously that means having two of the same spoons, keeping both of those same spoons in your bane. You can even have like 3 or 4 or something like that. But leaving them in there, going in, doing your rocher, switching spoons, right? So each one has time to kind of get hot, and then just kind of going back and forth between the two. And you can kind of change up your size, change up your method a little bit. Depends how hard you kind of scoop back on it. But yeah, so if you're gonna sit here and do these for butter services, normally what I would do is take like a quarter tray and just pop, and then line these guys up. Another method that I've seen people do is they'll kind of scoop up like this and then rotate against the side of the pan, kind of scooping away, but then using the edge of the pan, kind of like this, where you're scooping it up and continually rotating it. You're gonna scoop up the edge of your container and sit there and kind of rotate it within that. It's kind of a cheater way to do it. I'll show you guys one more time. You guys can kind of continually rotate it till you get that good edge. But, this leaves a lot of room for error. So I don't do that. I do prefer one hand, super quick. This one hand, scoop, very quick method, in and out. Now we're gonna go on to the quenelle. So a quenelle, in my experience, 2 spoons, 3 different sides. This right here is a little bit of tasty paste that we made with some habanada mash. So typically what you want to do is kind of calculate how much you want. You really don't want a whole lot for too much for the size of your spoon. Otherwise, if you have too much, you're just going to have to be continually cutting it down. It kind of is like a nightmare. Pick out exactly how much you need and sit there. I want to kind of rotate it a few times, each time pressing down into your spoon so you can kind of eliminate those air pockets. And then every time you do it, kind of getting those sides super nice and tight, that Mohawk look to it. Rotate, and then whatever your dominant hand is, last one, scoop. And this will give you kind of your 3 different sides there, you guys can see. So slightly curved. So we'll do it again a little bit quicker. So 2 spoons. And this really is, let's try that. This is really, the original way to do a quenelle. This goes back to like some old school French cuisines where you do you know, scallops or salmon or, you know, even lobster or something like that. Second different method, instead of 2 spoons with a 3-sided quenelle, this one's gonna be 1 spoon. We call these Mohawks. I don't really know the technical term for it, but typically what you would do is take your spoon and you wanna kind of rotate against the edge of your container, against the edge of your pan, till you get those air pockets out. You can see it starting to rotate. And then here I have a pretty clean side, nice consistent side, kind of like that. Go ahead and scoop in. Again, not too much for your spoon. You guys can see that super clean side, but up on the plate and then leave it like that. We call these guys Mohawks just because that third edge really stands up. Go ahead and scoop it up on whatever you're doing. Scoop it on the edge here. You're gonna get a nice clean side so it doesn't look too bad on the plate. Slap it down and then pull it back up. You're gonna get one side that's not necessarily perfect. It really just depends on you know, what side of, or what sort of puree you're gonna have. Anything that's like super silky smooth, if you're gonna use Ultratex or something like that, typically with purees, you're gonna get that perfect texture. You know, sweet potato puree, any sort of squash puree, potato puree, something like that works really, really great. This happens to be some pear butter. Super good stuff, but not perfect. Not a perfect example, but you guys can kind of get the point. If you're gonna put multiple quenelles on the same plate, if they have to be matching, I'm gonna use these guys just because you need them to be extremely consistent, the same exact shape, or if you don't trust your staff at all to do this. So this is how I use these guys. This is ice cream. You're gonna kind of pop these guys out. If you're gonna have these guys on the plate, they're gonna look obviously uniform. And then after a couple minutes, after these are on the plate, they're gonna start to kind of get that nice glossy glaze on the top, or when they are on the plate, hit them with the torch for 2 seconds and they get that super nice sheen, you know, kind of on the outside, just like this guy has. That's all we got for molds. Ice cream. So this one is gonna be my favorite method of plating ice cream. It's a rocher. Yeah, so same method. So we're gonna go out, back in, clean up your edge, and that's gonna be it. The best way to do these guys is if you have a very shallow pan, like if you have a 2-inch third pan or something like that, you have plenty of surface area to kind of work this back and forth. Ice cream's also gotta be the right texture. If you're gonna sit here and kind of play around with the top, gonna be very, very soft, while the bottom, very hard. But, you know, you guys will see a lot of the time, you know, people even do their quenelles and they'll go ahead, smash it, make a little well, you can fill it with whatever. But yeah, that's typically it. Butter's a nice practice medium. You can also do something like chantilly or you know, whatever you want to do. If you do straight whipped cream, you're just going to melt it. So you're really not going to have that much time to practice with it. But chantilly's got a little bit of sugar in it, so it keeps it a little bit more stable, which is nice. But you guys can kind of see the you know, the thought process here. I'll show you guys one really slow. So in, out, and you can kind of see that rotation that the spoon gets. So my favorite method really depends on exactly what your application is. But yeah, like I said, ice creams, anything like that, creams, chantilly's, you know, sometimes meringues even. It's nice to have a quenelle. It's just a little bit more elegant on the plate. You know, as far as consistency wise goes, molds, totally acceptable, especially if you're putting more than one on the same plate. And then as far as butters go, butter service, you know, something like this is what I really like to do. Again, just looks a little bit more elegant. If you're doing some sort of puree or something like that, I really like these 2-spoon methods. Super easy to get, very consistent. If you're doing more than one on the same plate, super nice. Practice makes perfect. I'm a terrible example, but sometimes I fucking nail it. And you're gonna take these, oh man, working kind of back and forth on these. Oh man. Damn. All right, let's try again. Here we go.